You ever had this moment? You're standing in the kitchen, coffee in hand, because of course you need coffee or kombucha, depending upon the mood, and your teenager says something that makes you pause. Not because it's shocking, let's be honest, very little shocks you anymore, but because you suddenly realize you're in a completely different season of life than they are. They're just getting started, and you've already lived through about 5 versions of starting over. They're talking about staying up all night like it's a badge of honor, and you're thinking, oh, I'm finding it hard to even stay up for New Year's Eve anymore. And in that one quiet moment, you feel it all at once. Grateful and a little amused. And yes, just plain tired. In this video, you will learn what it's really like to raise teenagers later in life, the joys people don't talk about, the quiet challenges that come with it, and how both you and your teen may be experiencing this season very differently. Stick with me to the end. I've got a few takeaways that might just save your sanity, or at least salvage your next sketchy conversation with your teenager. I'm Claudia with the Well-Seasoned Parent, and I'm glad you're here. If you like what we're doing, give us a thumbs up and join the conversation. I'd love to hear what you think in the comments. So let's start with something good, because there's a lot of good here. One of the unexpected gifts of raising teens later in life is this: you're not in a rush anymore. When you were younger, everything felt urgent. Schedules, activities, doing everything right. Frantic activity was the word used to describe pretty much every day. But now you sit a little longer at the table. You listen a little more carefully when your teen actually decides to talk. And when they come into the kitchen at 10:30 at night and say, can we talk? You don't rush it. You know these moments matter. There's also calmness that comes with age. Now, don't get me wrong, teenagers can still test your patience. But you've seen enough to know not every mood is a crisis. Not every disagreement needs a reaction. Sometimes you just let it pass. And that steadiness, that becomes your anchor to a teenager, even if they don't say it out loud. So let's be honest, some of this is just funny. Like when your teen explains something to you like it's brand new. Have you heard this song? And you're thinking, ooh, I listened to that before you were born. Or when they say, you just don't understand. And you think, I was a teen once. I understand more than you think. And I'm not going to tell you about parts of it because you wouldn't understand. And I probably ought not to be repeating those things anyway. If you're raising a teen later in life, I'd love to hear from you. So, how old were you when your teen years started at your home? You're not alone in all this. I think there are more of us than people realize. Now let's talk about the part people don't always say out loud. Raising teens later in life can be physically and emotionally demanding. You don't have the same energy you once did. I certainly don't. I am slower and I am more tired. Not like really old people tired, but that creeping tired that comes on around dinner time and whispers, it would be great to forget cooking and just go take a bath, put on my jammies and a fluffy robe and just chill, you know? And I've changed. I seem to have found my voice. My teens have occasionally been really embarrassed by something I said or did because I'm no longer afraid to question the man working at the lettuce aisle about fresher vegetables for that price nicely, or express my frustration to the utility company about the hike in prices. I haven't gotten unkind, but I have gotten past being intimidated into being quiet. But there are the clear reminders that we are older parents. Late nights hit harder. And sometimes you wonder, am I doing enough? Am I getting this right? You also may feel a gap at times. Your teen is growing up in a world that looks very different from the one you grew up in. And you can't parent them the way that you grew up. That world doesn't exist anymore. Technology, social pressures, expectations, it's a lot. And sometimes it can feel like you're trying to guide them through something that didn't exist when you were their age. Now let's gently step into your teenager's shoes for a moment, because this part is important. Your teen may not fully understand what it means to have an older parent, but they do notice things. They notice the differences. They may notice differences between you and your friends' parents. I am certainly older than their friends' parents and way older than the perky president of the PTA. I had that energy once and volunteered for everything. And I mean everything. No more, though. And they embarrass easily. I'm sure I embarrassed my teen because I looked old. She tried to intimidate me into not letting my hair go gray. She didn't want me to look any older than I already did. I listened to her for about 6 months. Then I started listening to my needs, and I realized I needed it changed. I went pure white, like instantly, much to my teens' dismay and mine. It wasn't a good look. So I fixed that, but I'm still very much gray. I've heard her say to someone lately, yeah, I didn't want Mom to go gray, but it's okay now. Maybe it's just me, but I hear that and I think she's giving me permission. And that doesn't even irritate me. And that's another thing that has changed as an older parent. While I can stay calm in most situations, if I am truly aggravated, I tend to let it be known. But you know what? I think that's healthy, as long as I don't tear anyone else down in the process while I'm being aggravated. In other words, I'm okay with who I am these days. I once heard my mom talking with a nurse, and the nurse said, oh, you're 93. That must be fun. And my mom said, it's not fun. I find that I get irritated with everybody. And the nurse said, well, why is that? And she said, because at this age, everybody irritates me. I'm trying not to turn into that. So being older and raising a teen is a huge change from when I was a younger parent. One thing that makes me sad for my teen is that I know she worries quietly about my health, my energy, or my presence in her future, and she has good reason to be worried about all those things. It must be a heavy burden for teens to carry. They may not say it out loud, but it can show up in small ways, sometimes in frustration, sometimes in independence, sometimes in pulling away. And here's something else. Your life experience can feel intimidating to them. You live through things they haven't even begun to face. So when you give advice, they may hear it as pressure instead of guidance. Not because they don't respect you, but because they're still trying to figure themselves out. So here's what I want you to take with you. Number one, you don't have to react to everything. Sometimes the best response is a calm pause. More often these days, I take a moment to look at my teen in the eye, which completely freaks her out, and take a calm breath before responding. Number two, listening matters more than fixing. Your teen doesn't always need solutions. They need to feel heard. Make eye contact. Put the phone down. Don't convey impatience. Reflect back to them what they said so they know you understand. For instance, so you're frustrated with your friend for ignoring you at school today. That goes a long way. Number three, your calm is your superpower. Even when they push back, your calm presence shapes them. I had a child's therapist tell me once that when it appeared that a conversation was going to take a nasty turn, I should quietly take in a breath, smile, walk away while saying, I'll be back when we have both calmed down. Then be sure to go back. Number four, it's okay to acknowledge the gap. You can say, I didn't grow up with this, but it has to be tough to deal with this stuff. And that really helps your teen. Number five, don't miss the small moments. The car rides, the late night talks, the laughter that shows up unexpectedly. These are the pieces you'll carry with you. So if you're raising a teenager later in life, I want you to hear this clearly. You are not behind. You are not at a disadvantage. You are bringing wisdom, patience, and perspective into your home. And those are the things teenagers need more than they realize. So take a breath. You don't have to do this perfectly. Just keep showing up, because one day your teenager will look back and realize something important. You understood them more than they knew. And that steady presence you gave them, that's their takeaway. And that landed with them, so to speak. If no one has told you lately, I want to tell you you're doing a great job as an older parent with a teen, or you wouldn't even be here. Are you making mistakes? Probably. Will they scar your teen for life? Probably not. And that thinking defines the difference between being a younger parent of teens and one who has the advantage of being the seasoned parent of teens. So thank you for joining me and for a tutorial on how to handle your child's messy bedroom as something other than another hill you are willing to die on. I recorded this video for you. See you next time.